So today we're talking about abundance, God's bounty. And as much as we all articulate that we live in an abundant universe, and as much as we articulate our prosperity, there seems to sometimes, for some of us, be a gap between what we speak and what shows up in our lives. And what is that about? Because if we truly live in an abundant universe, which we do, why does it show up over here and not over here? And for me, it's the garden hose principle. Okay? Got this great big long hose, and I got plenty of water pressure. And as I move around my yard, everything's fine. And then all of a sudden, no water. Anybody ever had that experience? We yank on it, we flip it. And it's just a last resort that we actually start walking back along the hose to find a kink, because that would just make way too much sense. We have a kink in our prosperity consciousness. If you are experiencing anything less than affluence, an unrestricted flow, there's a kink in your abundance, prosperity goals. And most of the time, the really uncomfortable part of that kink is it's in our giving where the kink is. Because instead of giving, we withhold. Because we have a consciousness of fear. We have a consciousness of lack. And what we really are hoping for is if we actually use the words abundance and prosperity often enough, loudly enough, that will somehow change that. It won't. It won't. You can scream abundance and prosperity to the top of your lungs every day for the rest of your life. It will change nothing if you fail to find the belief that's operating, that's kinking your hose. Because, folks, here's what I want you to get. When we say, I speak my word, notice that's not plural. My word is talking about the divine in me is speaking. It's not talking about the words that come out of our mouth. It is not talking about the English language. There is no magic power in words. None. What is operating in the law is the belief motivating those words. And so if I am speaking words out of my mouth to convince myself, the problem, the kink in my hose, is that I don't believe it. What I really have is a consciousness of lack. What I really have is a consciousness of fear. And I don't want to own that. And so I speak and I speak and I speak. And here's the catch. That's exactly how we change our consciousness. If you have ever read the book, The Four Agreements, and you do not know chapter 1 backwards and forwards, inside and out, but you know the Four Agreements, go back and read it again. Chapter 1 is the key, because he brilliantly articulates how language is our programming code. And just like the computer that you use at home is programmed, the English language, for those of us here in America, is our programming code. Here's the problem. The very code that programmed us into a lack consciousness is the words that we're trying to use to change it. And so if we are anything less than crystal clear about what we believe the words that we're saying mean, we are unintentionally reinforcing the programming we're trying to change. Which is why so many of us stay stuck. We have to go back and find the kink in the hose. When the word abundance comes out of your mouth, if there's any argument in the background, go there. There's where your kink is. I was doing a workshop at the ministers' gathering, and part of the exercise is there's this really nice exercise that we sometimes do in workshops where we identify 3 people that we really admire and the qualities of those people that we really admire to identify those in ourselves. Well, we didn't do that. I had them identify the 3 people that annoy them the most deeply. And I had several ministers who were like, I'm getting out of this workshop because I see where this is going. Now, to their credit, they hung in there. But it's easy to do the feel-good side. That's easy. The juice, the growth, the shift, if you will, comes from finding the kink in the hose. So I invite you, find the 3 people that annoy you the most deeply. And what are the behaviors of those people that annoy you the most deeply? And then find those behaviors, those beliefs in you. Because if you spot it, you got it. That's just how it rolls. Okay? Because I can't see something in you that isn't in me. Now, it may be way in my past, or so I think, but if it's still really accessible to me, how in my past can it be? Diapers are in my past. I don't give diapers a whole lot of thought. 20 years from now, maybe. I didn't even see that coming. I need a filter. But we can only be where we are. Okay? And if I have this big pile of gunk, I can gift wrap it however I want. But it's still a big pile of gunk. The only thing that changes that is I change what's in the box. I have to change what's in my consciousness. And what I can tell you is that in those moments where I very clearly am in that place where I get that I live in an abundant universe, and that an abundant universe lives in me, then something happens. Then ministerial school is paid for, and I can't explain how. As long as the abundant universe is out there, it's a vending machine I have to access. When I get that it's in here, then I get to live it. I get to be it. It is instantly accessible. If you have God outside of you, your first order of business is to get it inside of you, because that's where it is anyway. The only thing making it appear outside is our separation. Okay? Now, it's easy to fall into that. We all live from the experience of our past. It's not a bad thing. It's a human thing. Okay? How do we know to teach our children not to run with scissors? Because somebody ran with scissors. It wasn't a pretty thing. Okay? Why do we have a warning label on Pop-Tarts not to toast them unattended? Because somebody burnt their house down. Okay? It's okay and quite necessary to learn from the past. And at some point, we have to open up to experience something beyond what we can see. Because if all I'm comfortable with is what I can imagine, is what I can see, all I'm comfortable with is the past. There was a time when I could not even imagine me living an authentic life, much less standing here as a minister doing what feeds my soul in this amazing, effortless, blissful way with a community of people that I cannot brag on enough. I had no concept of it. And I invite you to open to an experience of abundance, to an experience of prosperity beyond your bank account. Because if money is as big as you can imagine, you are cheating yourself. You're cheating yourself. They've actually proven, I don't know if y'all grew up with it, but I grew up hearing money can't buy happiness. Well, yes, it can. They actually have studies now that prove money can indeed buy happiness. If pizza, okay? I'm just going to say, if I could get away with eating pizza 3 meals a day for the rest of my life, that is all I would eat. And I would be very happy. $6 can buy me happiness. Here's the problem with happiness. It's fleeting. Because $6, they'll even deliver it. And I'm happy until the last slice is gone. And then there goes my happiness. What we're after is joy. We're not after happiness. Go bigger, for crying out loud. Because there is a joy inside of you that literally will blow your life wide open to an abundance and a prosperity that you cannot imagine. Those of you that are parents, the first time you met your children, yeah, that joy. Because no matter what those little earth beings do, from that moment forward, you always have that moment. And trust me, if you're not a parent, they do things that really test that moment. And if we're being honest, so do we as parents. But when we stand in that place of joy, none of the earth stuff really matters all that much. Do you want happiness or do you want joy? Do you want a fat bank account Or do you want abundance and prosperity? Because it can come in a lot of different ways. And I invite you to open up to all of the ways that abundance can show up that you cannot purchase. You can't purchase it. Because if you do, if you will play bigger, here's my promise to you. You won't have to worry about your bank account anymore. You really won't. Because when we live in that consciousness of prosperity and abundance, we are led into activity that takes care of every earthly need we have. If you prioritize the earthly needs, you will meet those as best you can, and you will limit your experience of your own divinity in the process. Go bigger. You deserve it. Let's take this into prayer. And so as I breathe, what I know, what is abundantly clear in every fiber of my being, is that there is one infinite, ever-present allness, joy beyond what I can comprehend, security beyond any insecurity I will ever know, peace, pure peace beyond any strife, any conflict, beyond any appearance, beyond any physical manifestation. There is this field of absolute possibility, pure potentiality, waiting, just waiting to be known, to be brought into form. Infinite potentiality beyond anything that I can comprehend in my limited human mind. That is my life. That is the life of all life. That is the source that we are created out of, and that is what lives within us. That is the power that each of us possesses. And so in that truth, I speak my word, claiming and affirming that each and every one in the sound of my voice steps fully into the power of what was born in each of us. That we stand in that power of pure potentiality and claim everything that is ours to claim. That we open to an experience of our own lives that literally blows our mind, because we could not imagine how it would show up. That we simply open to being that vessel of expression. That as we feel the divine well up inside of us, that our only response is yes. Yes, yes. Grateful, so incredibly grateful to know the truth of being, to know the truth of creation, and to know the power of how the law works and how yes works over and over again. And so I say yes on behalf of my life and on behalf of all of creation. Yes to being the full magnificence that we each came here to be. Yes, yes, yes. And knowing that the universe says yes right along with each of us, I release my word into that activity of law that only knows yes and simply waits for us to join it there. and then it manifests exactly as we believe. And so knowing that it is already made manifest exactly as I believe, I let it go, I let it be. And I just step into finding the evidence of that yes. And I invite you, if any of this has resonated with your being, if you are ready to step into your greatest yes, join me as we anchor this together and say, and so it is.